What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Analytically Correct, New Year's edition, year in review edition. Thanks for watching us. Yeah, the apologize edition, as Stretch calls it. We're going to be doing some apologizing left and right, and we're going to get into, before we do that a little bit, we're going to get into the NFL playoffs. Obviously, a little bit about last week and maybe something about the teams that were a little bit more surprised didn't make it. Some of the teams that look really good going into the playoffs. We'll do a little bit of breakdown for each of the games and everything. But first, just to start with kind of like a referendum or a moratorium on some of the teams that didn't make it. We're not really going to cover the Cowboys. We've already talked too much about that. We both are in agreement that it's either you fire Jason Garrett or there's nothing really left to talk about.
I'm not wearing another Cowboys apparel until we fire him.
It would be shocking, I think. Everyone would be shocked if they didn't fire him, right? That's pretty much all we can say about that.
That's where, just because the head coaching talk started, we're starting like week 10.
Yeah.
So it's like that's earlier than any team.
It's already too late.
The Browns earlier than them, earlier than the Giants.
And it's funny, not to get too off track, but Matt Rule, the Baylor coach, already said he's not interested in the Browns job.
Dude,
so
and
that's kind of where they're at right now.
I was just talking to Stretch before about that. When you walked in, it was the fact that a Baylor coach, and we're talking about a Big 12 coach, but we're not. Baylor's not this premier program in the Big 12.
But he's one of the hot coaching candidates and stuff like that.
Because of what he's done with Baylor in offense. But it's like, that's where they are as an NFL franchise. They can't get the head coach to Baylor now. There you go. I love it.
Happy New Year's, Mom. Yeah, and so I think talking about some of the teams that we were surprised didn't make it, I guess I was surprised that the Cowboys didn't make it. Looking back here, I have everything written down from like our predictions and everything. And I think we both thought the Rams, I don't know if I have it on here.
I have the Rams out of that one.
I think we both had Seattle.
Seattle was my group that I really thought could win that division.
Yeah, we both had Seattle, but I think we were expecting both teams to be really good, like kind of battling. I think we were expecting where the 49ers are. We were both expecting that to be the Rams.
Well, when the Rams were talking about them, I was like, there's one team that misses the playoffs. Every year that wins a Super Bowl. It's not going to be New England.
Right.
And I just looked at the Rams. It's like they kind of like look like they fell off. Not fell off, but they just didn't look the same.
No,
in that sense.
It's a testament to the Patriots
that
every other team has that Super Bowl hangover year. The Rams go all in. It's not like they're not trying to. They're trying to win the Super Bowl this year. They make all these trades. They re-signed Goff when they didn't have to technically re-sign him yet. They could have done the Dak Prescott thing and made it. And I think they would have saved some money, honestly, because the way that contract looks now, he didn't do himself any favors this season. And I think it's more McVay than him. I think we can say that at this point. And I know. And they had Cooper Kupp for this whole season, and everyone was saying Cooper Kupp was the reason last season. Kind of why he was struggling towards the end.
It's just, people made adjustments to them. It's kind of like every offense, whenever our offense looks new or great for the first time, people make adjustments over the year. Like, that's one thing that I've always made the comparison on why, you look at the Ravens, it's going to be interesting to see them next season and how defenses adjust and how coordinators adjust to them for this upcoming year. Because this offense is completely new. And the way everyone can run the football, the way they work 3 tight ends, they work their speed receivers. So eventually that offense will get figured out. And I think that's exactly what happened with the Rams last year. Is people figured out what McVay was doing. It wasn't like, I hate when they throw around the word guru because I just don't see him as a guru. He's not. Like, I get it, he can work with this, but let's be honest, you can score 3 points in the Super Bowl, you're not a guru. Kyle Shanahan is proved to be a guru.
Yeah, but you also have to give credit to Bill Belichick for holding them to and Todd Gurley was a shell of himself, and they were injured at that point. So I would be more interested, if we're going to talk about the Rams in this season, what can they do moving forward to get better? The only thing you can hope is that there's a regression to the mean, and that the season before this was like the high, this season is the low, and maybe next season they can come back.
They were only a game out of the wild card, so it's not like they were fell the hell off.
It came down to the last game and everything, but I think the reason that we talk about them in that way is when you go all in on a season trying to win the Super Bowl and you don't even make the playoffs. Now, granted, we weren't even expecting that. I think the main takeaway when I went back and looked at our old podcast is none of us were on the 49ers for what they were this season.
They're definitely earlier than what people expected. I know Richard Sherman would yell at anyone who said that, but they were definitely early.
I don't really. When players say that, it's like, what else are they going to say?
Yeah, of course. Getting they got 12, 13 wins. I just didn't see that happening. To be honest with you, I just looked at that as it was a very, very surprise factor, kind of like the Bills winning at 10-11. That's 10 games.
Yeah, I thought they were going to be good as well, but we thought the Patriots are going to run away with that division. We all picked going down a list of pretty much who we picked. For the NFC South, I picked Saints, you picked Falcons. I think when I was re-listening to it, you were kind of expecting Matt Ryan and Julio to have a big year, and it's almost like
not as many injuries. I didn't think would happen the year
you can never
before.
predict injuries. And then for the Falcons, like the way they finished the season was actually pretty impressive.
It
'cause
was.
A lot of teams, I don't remember what their record was to start, but if you start having a shitty season like that, it's really easy for everyone just to pack it in, and it almost seems like a really good thing for them that they try to fight almost to keep Dan Quinn's job. I don't know if the guy's a good coach or not. It didn't seem like it in the first half, but if your locker room believes in you like that, that's the opposite of a Jason Garrett situation.
That's the thing. They had a tough injury bug this year again. I just looked at Atlanta. I guess Atlanta just has a lot on that field that you expect to do better, but it's coming to the point now. Okay, like I said, Dan Quinn got to retain his job. I feel like if it happens, if there's another 8-8 year like he just had, then it's going to be you're going to have to get going now kind of thing.
Right, because you have the talent that needs to win now. Like Julio Jones is not getting any younger, and he actually had like a surprisingly healthy season. Talking about injuries, like all the people who they had injured, that wasn't one of them, and he had an amazing season. And then on the other side, when I was re-listening to it, my whole thing wasn't like any smart insight. It was just like if it comes down to Drew Brees, and it came down to like one of those games towards the end, I'll take Drew Brees, and that's what it wound up being. And then we had for the AFC South, we both were really high on the Colts, but you can't really blame. This is going to be like an apologize. We're really apologizing to ourselves. You can't really blame either one of us. Andrew Luck retired.
Yeah, we made the prediction on that one. Like the prediction with the Colts was before the Andrew Luck retirement.
And they still, and then credit to them too. They still had a really good season.
And Jacoby Brissett, I hate to say, anyone who wants to vouch for him, go ahead and vouch for him. But you're just being pity because Andrew Luck's clearly like 9 day a better quarterback.
It's a step down.
It's a flight down.
You can give him credit though, because this is technically, I wouldn't call it his rookie season, but it's his first full season. He didn't. I guarantee you, he didn't have like as many first team reps in the offseason. Like, I don't know if he was really practicing with the first team the whole time.
I was upset to see Luck retire because that's what I thought was going to be his best team. With now they have a consistent run game in Mac, not Trent Richardson, what they traded for when they had him. You have one of the best offensive lines in football.
That was an all-timer, yeah.
Yeah,
and it's such a shame too that the two things didn't coincide. When Andrew Luck was getting the shit kicked out of him behind like shitty offensive lines, then as soon as he retires, all of a sudden they have one of the best offensive lines in football.
Oh yeah.
And it's like you can't. So they couldn't have had both of those things together. It's kind of a shame. We both, like I said, we both picked Seattle. We both picked Kansas City.
I'm such a fangirl for Mahomes.
Yeah, it's going to be so going off a little bit on the side, and we'll go through more of these. But when we think of something, we'll go off to the side. Is when you were talking about Mahomes, I was thinking about the Patriots and how they look going into it. And if they would have beat the Dolphins, they would have had a bye, right?
Yeah, they would have, yeah.
So what in the hell happened there? Like, how do you lose to the Dolphins, and how is it even close?
I think it's more credit to Flores and building that culture late. You got rid of, everyone killed them.
17-point favorites?
Yeah, everyone killed them on what they were doing. I thought the rebuild was perfect in what they were doing. It's perfect to get rid of Kenny Stills. It's perfect to get rid of Tunsil. It's perfect to get rid of those guys that really don't matter, but you can get value out of.
They're kind of like the opposite of the Rams.
They won 5 games. I know they're out, but they won 5.
And would the Rams win 8? 9?
8 or 9.
So a team that everyone thought was going to be the worst team in football, not even trying, wins like 3 fewer games than a team that was trying to make it to the Super Bowl.
And now they have 3 first-round picks. And with 3 first-round picks, you can move around in that draft, 3 first-round picks. Whether you trade your first pick, there's a lot of trading that go on. Flores was head of scouting from New England. He knows I'm excited to see what Flores can do with that team. I think he's going to be the most exciting. They're going to have the most exciting draft season is going to be Miami. When you look at what can happen, what Flores' background comes from, I think Miami's got I like Miami's future. I'd rather be in Miami than New York or Cleveland right now.
Or Detroit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that'll be interesting as far as their draft goes. Now, since the Patriots didn't get the bye going into this week, what do you think about their chances? Because I already think
Tennessee played them well.
Tennessee played them well already this season. Tennessee looks good.
Vrabel.
Derrick Henry looks like them. If you took away like the uniforms and the names on the back and just looked at the stats and how the teams have been playing this year, and especially down the stretch.
You blind resume this one. You're going Titans most likely.
The only thing you're really going to put your money on is if you're putting on the Patriots is they have Belichick and Brady, and usually that's worked out in the past, but it's got to end eventually.
I do think that the Titans are going to lose to them. I definitely think the Patriots are going to beat them. I just don't look at Gilmore really giving any ground to either receiver there.
They do a good job of moving A.J. Brown around, though. I guarantee you with the scheme they're going to use, it's not going to be A.J. Brown straight up and down the field with Stephon Gilmore. Now, the rest of that defense is really good, too. but Tennessee can score some points, and the Patriots, I mean, what are the Patriots going to have to hold them to? Like 21, 17,
I
something
just think
like
what
that?
the Patriots do really well every week, no matter who it is even these games that they lost, outside of the Baltimore game, they didn't get blown out by really anybody. Houston, they got beat up too.
Right.
But when you look at, when you want to take someone away, you can take away, they're going to take away Derrick Henry, I think. That's the guy you're going to want to take away.
They always say that Bill Belichick can take away somebody in every game, though. But I mean, it's just not like God-given thing that happens.
Who is he
every
not taking
time.
away though? And he took away Todd
Well, he just
Gurley.
lost to the Dolphins, so he didn't take away Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I get that. You know, that's a week 17 thing. It's a division game. I'm talking about
But
in playoff time.
it's for a bye. It's not like they weren't playing for anything. All the players played.
I get that. Playoff time, I just think there's a different culture when you're in the playoffs. It's just with any team. Every team's different.
And I'm not even saying that Tennessee's going to win. I'm saying
Yeah.
more of the road you're going to have to go now is most likely Tennessee, and then on the road in Kansas City, and then on the road in Baltimore.
I think that's just, you take away Henry, you limit Henry, not even take away, you just limit him. You're going to say, okay, Tannehill, have you had the season everyone thinks you've been having?
Right.
And you're going to force Tannehill's hand, and I think that's the way to go about it.
And if you do go back to that Tannehill Dolphins thing, one advantage is Bill Belichick's seen Tannehill, 8 times already?
Exactly. I mean,
so if anybody, I mean, I think it would be almost an advantage if it was any other quarterback besides Tannehill. Not Mariota necessarily, but I think it'll really help in that game. But then once you get down to going to Kansas City on the road and Baltimore on the road, and then that's just to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's gonna be their toughest battle to ever get to the Super Bowl in a long time, I think. From back when they were having to go up against teams like Pittsburgh and other teams like that, you know what I mean? Like, or Baltimore back when they had the Ed Reeds and the Lewises. It's gonna be the toughest road they've had in a while, I think.
Yeah, so I think maybe it won't be as big of a deal not to get the bye, except for the fact that you don't have rest. Your quarterback's 42. Some of your other players are older that are on like veteran contracts that you could have. But I think that won't be with the game they wind up losing. It'll be one of the other ones. Going into the playoffs, one of the teams that looks really good. I mean, should we do like NFC picks and AFC picks now? I mean,
AFC, NFC. I mean, man, it's tough
like
because
champion. And I'll have to write it down because I'm not going back to listen to all this over again like the other one.
That's
It took
tough,
me a
man.
long
That's
time.
really tough. I mean, Green Bay is really showing a lot in what they can do with Aaron Rodgers, and now they're looking like they're healthy now. Things are getting better. Their defense proved to look better when they played Minnesota. They were able to take away the run, something they weren't able to do. They were able to take away the pass completely. I'm not going to look at Minnesota and think they can contend. San Francisco, I think, is early. I think Green Bay and New Orleans is between those two, and Baltimore and Kansas City are between the other two. I mean, that's just such a. I want to go Baltimore representing the AFC more than Kansas City, even though I think Kansas City has the better offense and the better quarterback. I do think that the defense is so much more trustworthy in Baltimore than it is with any team in the AFC outside of New England.
Right.
But their offense, they run the ball really well. They can keep the possession. They can score when they want. Like, they just look like they're in such a run right now to where being a Baltimore and New Orleans look could be a theme, but then I don't want to say New Orleans, and New Orleans has some stupid thing happen in the NFC Championship again.
Yeah, it is crazy that it's so who are you taking just for the NFC Championship game?
I'll go. I'm going to go New Orleans and Baltimore, so I'm going to pick.
It's kind of crazy. I don't have it in front of me either.
And Lamar
Jackson.
Jackson, I gotta owe Lamar Jackson an apology. I definitely, and
I do have some quotes here.
I mean, I want to give an apology, but then like everyone has to apologize. So I mean, I'll just jump in line with that because it's like, wow,
I just wrote
like,
some stuff
you had
down.
An amazing
and,
year.
Yeah.
You had an amazing year. Like in a year that if you said you predicted this year, shut the fuck up, please, because you didn't. You just sound like a fanboy. Stop it. Admit it. Like no one predicted this MVP season. No one did. Like maybe his mom, because she's his agent and his mom.
Right.
But like that's it.
It's like the Joe Burrow thing. Did you hear about that when two people bet on Joe Burrow to win the Heisman, and one of them was his dad? Mm-hmm. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Lamar Jackson thing, nobody could have predicted it.
No, but I was just hell of a year, man.
While I was listening back to it, it was just, dude, I hate Lamar Jackson. That was just one of the ones, which is fine. Like we said, going back to last season. But then there was one where it was like Jameis Winston on another team next year. Maybe Lamar Jackson will go there, but he'll wind up backing him up or something like that. I don't know. I said also under things to apologize for, I said there's no scenario in which Cam Newton is not on the Panthers next year. It almost seems for sure that he's not on the Panthers next year now.
Whoa, hey, I'm just saying, my take's not that off still.
I said that one.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I said there's no way he's not going to be on the Panthers.
Yeah, that's a Oh, that's a tough one there, man. Because
Yeah,
that's gonna be a fun
I
one
tried to
there.
put one for each of us. I just didn't want to just
The
put it all
Lamar
on the
one's
Jackson
definitely my
thing.
worst one because
Yeah.
just how great of a year he really had, like that. But like I said, rightfully so, and I will stand in line. I think my Atlanta one was really bad too, just the way it ended. Maybe my hopes were too high for them. But you know what? My original Super Bowl pick, like I said, I'm gonna defend that one. I told Stretch last night because I can't help that Luck retired. Like that was rough.
No, I could tell you your original Super Bowl pick. It was
Colts Cowboys.
no, it's Dallas, New England.
Oh, really? Oh, it was yeah, I changed that one after the Colts
And,
prediction.
I
The
think-
first time we did it, I said Colts.
I wrote the final score. I think you said like Cowboys by 7 or something like that.
Well, I was playing Madden a lot lately, so.
You got caught up in the air.
God damn
I
dude.
said Kansas City, Minnesota, which I guess is still possible.
That's a possibility.
I'm not as high on Minnesota, especially having to go into New Orleans and beat them in the Dome.
Kirk Cousins got to be happy none of these games are on a Monday at least.
There you go. His record's terrible on Mondays.
I was really, I don't know, I like Minnesota's team. It's just now it's coming to the fact that do you think they can, because they don't have any type of home field. They're going everywhere they play now.
And then another thing when I was thinking about like how everything can play out as far as the machinations of the playoffs is, I really wanted to pick for my NFC. I wanted to pick Saints and Green Bay. I don't have it in front
I
of me.
like that. Yeah.
But the only thing is,
One's a 2 and the other I think is like a 3.
But the only thing is if New Orleans has to play San Francisco and they have to play them at San Francisco, I'm not taking anything away from Drew Brees, but you have to travel from East Coast to West and it's outdoors. It's been noted about his indoor-outdoor splits, that whole thing.
The last time he played San Francisco, he had a lot of fun, and it was like, wow, that was almost like the almost remind you who I am game.
Yeah, I would like to see that game again. And then moving over to AFC, what do we have here? So we already talked about that. What do you feel about this? Is the game. When it came out, I knew this game was going to be on Saturday. The noon game or the 1 o'clock game is Bills Texans. I don't think either one of those teams can win the Super Bowl.
By no means, I don't think so. But I do think Deshaun Watson, this is his big game to win, and if they don't win it, this is a head coach that needs to start being circled on, okay, what's going on here? Because he's had a lot of playoff first-round exits, and now you have the quarterback that you never, quote-unquote,
Andrew
had.
Luck retired. Everyone kind of thought it was your division this year. I mean, if we
I can't apologize. I'm not apologizing to Houston, dude. I already told you. I called Deshaun to be the MVP. That's a great, like that was my guy for MVP was Watson.
That's okay. If you want to go back to other things, going back to preseason, what I said, do you have any guesses who I picked for MVP?
I remember it was Baker.
It was Baker Mayfield.
I didn't remember that one. It was a good surprise pick. I'll stand by. It was a good surprise pick. Not a fan of him. But
Everything kind of like seemed like it was lining up. Like you have Landry and Beckham and
Nick Chubb.
Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb when Kareem Hunt came back.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any quarterback that you thought, okay, if there's a young quarterback with a great staff, here it is.
Yeah. Rookie of the year. Oh, and then another thing was we both said the NFC South was the best division in football. That wasn't true, obviously.
No, it
that was
wasn't.
what is it, AFC West?
Yeah,
With
AFC West up and down.
With the
yeah,
with the
I
Seahawks
guess.
and the Rams.
Yeah, NFC West.
Even
NFC
putting the
West,
Rams
yeah.
as your
NFC
third best
West,
team.
yeah. AFC West was to say that one was a kind of runaway at the end.
Defensive Player of the Year, we both kind of said Aaron Donald, and we won't know about this yet, but we can be sure the MVP is not who we picked.
Shaq Barrett or
We both picked Donald. You picked Von Miller as like a sneaky one.
That didn't happen.
And then I picked for Rookie of the Year offensive. I picked Josh Jacobs.
That was
That's
a good one.
Still a possibility.
Mine was Montgomery, I think.
Yeah, going back. I actually just asked you. You already remembered everything. I had to look back. And when you said Montgomery, I said, who is that? So that just showed where I was as far as.
And I really thought,
preparation
like
and
I
everything.
said, when I talked about the Rams earlier, I think that's maybe a guy you tried to target because the Bears seem very, very like they need something. So maybe you trade that Gurley contract if the analytics prove out to be for like this. So that's why you're hiring a scouting and analytical team to see if David Montgomery is maybe worth it because you can get out of that contract to a team that's looking to have a big bounce back year. Because Chicago, I believe, both fell like further than what we thought they were. Definitely for me.
Well, speaking of Chicago, like what are they going to do as far as quarterback goes? There's a couple of teams, and as the playoffs go, there'll be fewer games to talk about. So we can talk about kind of what we think teams will do going into the off season. And kind of set that up a little bit more. But as far as Chicago, like what do they do? Like you still have Trubisky on the rookie contract. You traded up to number 3 to get him.
I think you stick with it because obviously the trade, and you kind of like, 'cause at this point you trade a lot of capital.
And now the defense is not. It's crazy how fast like year to year defenses can fluctuate.
Yeah.
Like how long ago was it when we all thought Jacksonville was a Nick Foles away, and then by the time they get that Nick Foles, which turns out to be Gardner Minshew, by the time they get that, the defense is not on the level where you can have a Nick Foles. It's on the level where you need like a much better quarterback. So looking at Chicago, I don't know what they do. Eli has said, and I don't personally think that he's a guy where you can go where you're just a mediocre quarterback away. Like, upgrading from Bortles like they were trying to do with Foles. What is the upgrade for a team? Look,
and that's my thing. Are you really going to kind of like almost just push away the assets you gave up for the 3 pick for a Phillip Rivers who had a very, very bad season, or like you said, an Eli Manning? Like, I just don't think I think it's almost worth, okay, here's the growing pain still, you know what? Let's get Trubisky a little bit more talent, because in all fairness, like everyone talks about they paid money for Allen Robinson.
Allen Robinson is
and it's
a little bit older now.
I didn't like that contract. They don't have a lot of offensive weapons either. Everyone wants Trubisky to be this like, I'm just gonna like he's supposed to change the team, but he's Dak Prescott-ish. You got to put a lot around him.
I
Dak has better numbers.
That's an insult to Dak, I think, because Dak has put up. If you just look at Dak's numbers, I know you can say it's garbage time or whatever.
It is.
But Dak has put up numbers that could be like top 5, top 10 MVP.
He has, but then when you like, that's another thing. It's like it's almost like the plus minus in basketball now. Like when you actually
right. You have to look at who you're playing against, what the time is, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's why I really enjoy that basketball really pushes the plus minus, because it almost filters out the BS. Like, Winston threw 5,000, Dak threw like 4,900. But it like just comes out there, and it is what it is.
Baker does definitely owe Odell Beckham Jr. an apology. How do you turn one of the best receivers in football into
top 5 receiver into like a?
How do you turn him into like not as good as Jarvis Landry?
Dude,
and don't even talk to me about double coverage, because if you're Odell and you have that kind of contract,
like he played with double coverage his whole career in New York.
It's not like Eli Manning.
Yeah.
The reason we thought that he was going to go from like good to great or great to wherever he was. Is because you go from Eli throwing you the ball to Baker Mayfield, and it just something has to be done there. I don't know what the hell they're going to get.
Well, without Dorsey and without Kitchens, Baker can be moved. And there are going to be teams that are going to kind of look at it and think they can do something with Baker. I wouldn't be shocked if the Chargers look at Baker Mayfield in a draft pool.
I think what happened with John Dorsey shows that they're not getting rid of Baker.
Oh, yeah.
I think John Dorsey either wanted to get rid of Baker, or he wanted to hire a coach that Baker didn't want or something. I think the owner is giving more power to Baker than he obviously deserves.
I think they're going to pull away from him. I just think almost look at like it's the mediocrity. Like, and everyone likes to talk about his first year, but like I said, when you look at the teams that were above 500, the mediocrity, there's a rookie. It is what it is. But this year, it's like, what more can a second-year quarterback ask for talent-wise? You know what I mean? Right. You're in trouble. Ditch the coaching. The best slot receiver.
The coaching was terrible, though. You have to be.
Yeah, no, it's horrendous.
But at some point, it's not about play calling or coaching. It comes down to like executing on the field. And there's just, I don't know. You have to give it at least one more year.
I agree with that one too. I mean, I agree you need to get another year, but I think with the personnel changes and I was listening to Colin Cowherd say, and he was right with McCarthy. Like, McCarthy is probably the best guy for that job. But
how is he getting recycled again? Like, because the Green Bay coach LaFleur went 13-3 with pretty much the same team,
but with a better defense. And LaFleur was also just told to shut up at times by Rodgers. I mean, Aaron Jones was better. We can't say Aaron Jones.
If Aaron Jones
better.
telling you to shut up gets you to 13-3, then Mike McCarthy should have shut up a long time ago.
Aaron Jones was actually healthy too, though. Like, Aaron Jones was a big premier option.
That's not the difference between not making the playoffs, though.
If you're really gonna say that coach was like, I hate to say it, just because of that fire, up until the last 2 years he was in Green Bay, he was a mastermind. He was a genius.
A guru?
If you want to call it that. But then the last 2 years he's in Green Bay, everyone hates him because Aaron hates him. It's because, no, Aaron, he is the head coach. He knows what he's doing. He is smarter than you in a sense. Like, it is what it is. And I know everyone wants to say Aaron is Aaron, but, I think, at the same time, you're going to look at him. He's won a Super Bowl. There's not a lot of better options. He's worked with Brett Favre. He's worked with Aaron Rodgers. He knows how to work with premier quarterbacks. McCarthy's not going to sit there and deal with Baker pretending he's that good. Dude, you're the shortest guy on the field sometimes. You're the most unathletic guy on the field mostly all the time, unless you played special teams. I still think there are punters more athletic than him. I think in general, it's just like you're going to look at a coach, if he doesn't want to work with Baker, I think they're almost going to let him go to someone else for a trade. There's enough to give up for him.
I just think when you're trying to retread McCarthy, it's such an uninspired move when you have guys out there like Lincoln Riley, and I know everyone's trying to get him, but give him whatever he wants.
If the Baylor head coach says he doesn't want to interview with them, do you think Oklahoma head coach is going to interview with them?
Then what do you think about is he just going to stay? Is he just going to pull a Nick Saban and stay in college?
No, he's just Bob Stoops
and just get blown out in the playoff every year.
Remember when Bob Stoops would always get all these quote unquote jobs offered, but Oklahoma's going to pay you $8.5 million a year. You're the only kind of football in Oklahoma. You are bigger than NFL coaches in Oklahoma. He's kind of what Bill Belichick is. Oklahoma is very big on football. That's a premier program. I don't think it's as easy as let's say for him to leave that almost elsewhere. You know what I mean?
He just got outcoached by a swamp monster, unless you just think it's all talent. And then in which case, why would you even have a coach then? That defense just got fucking boat raced.
Yeah, no, it really did.
The game was over instantly.
But I just don't see him leaving Oklahoma, especially with what he can get paid and to jump into what situation. You know what I mean? It's not like Cleveland's a glamorous situation right now. And like I said, with Baylor's coach saying no, I think that's kind of a ooh.
Yeah, and I think it hurts. Not even that you necessarily needed to have him, but it hurts more that. It hurts more that. Here, I can just turn this up.
Light bright.
It hurts more that guy would say no to you for other candidates going there. I don't know. At the end of the day, there's only 32 of those jobs, so somebody's going to take it. But Mike McCarthy, that's what you're. I don't know.
I think it's a good move. Like I said, Ron Rivera would have been the best move, just because he installs discipline. He's going to run his staff. He's going to run the way he wants. Run the ball well, move the ball downfield with weapons, and then you have a great defense. I thought Ron Rivera's the best one. But the Washington Redskins did a great hire with that one if they let him have the control he wants.
Right.
That's the thing it comes down to. And it almost looks like Snyder with letting go Allen now, letting go the head of training department. Looks like the Redskins are starting to kind of realize, okay, if we don't move this around, we're going to be this consistent.
The only thing about that too with the Redskins though is if you're gonna pull the rug out from Baker this quickly, and he had some success in his first season, what do you do with Dwayne Haskins? Because he's had no success.
No, I'm not. And we've had a conversation about that.
Is this where we are now with the NFL, where you just move on from a guy if he's not good in his rookie or sophomore season?
NFL is moving a lot more fast-paced than it's ever moved before because the whole coaches are gone within a year or two.
I'm telling you though, if that happens, you're going to wind up with some of these guys that they move on from them too fast. They go to someone who can actually develop them, and then they wind up being really good. And as soon as that happens, it's going to go right back to the way it used to be.
And I see what you're saying there. Like I said, it just almost comes into where the franchise can go and who they're going to hire and because it's almost like when you hire a new head coach, and you gotta let the new head coach be the new head coach. Like you're trusting into a whole new system, and some players don't fit that system. I don't know what's gonna happen with him. I personally not a fan of him, but I would like to see what does go on in Cleveland this year. I think there's gonna be some movement going on, there's gonna be a different change like there is every year in Cleveland. Same result.
It's definitely not going to be as much hype this offseason as next offseason. So
yeah.
I mean, do you think that everybody there comes back? Do you think Kareem Hunt's there next year? Do you think OBJ? Is anyone going to leave? It's going to be the same thing coming back.
OBJ leaves. It's almost like okay, you got to get a similar deal. I mean, you got to get some offensive line help.
Well, it would be in a trade.
Yeah, it would be in a trade. It's going to be like I don't know who's going to trade for that. Maybe someone does. Maybe someone doesn't. I mean, and a market of receivers. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a tough one. I don't know who's actually going to get moved. I would be surprised if they move Odell Beckham, of all players to move, because that should be your best playmaker.
Yeah.
And if you have a young quarterback on a rookie deal, the thing is, you need to surround him with playmakers. You can splurge on contracts a little bit.
It's just, to me, the way that these guys get paid such incredible money and they get paid to know more than we do in front office positions. Mm-hmm. And then their idea of hiring a coach is, well, the run game for the 49ers is good. Let's hire the running game coordinator, which I didn't know was a thing.
Yeah.
I know offensive, defensive coordinator, you have position coordinators and everything, but there's a run game coordinator and a pass game coordinator, and let's just hire that guy who's never been a head coach before.
Yeah. I mean, that's what.
But then I guess the other way is to do the Mike McCarthy thing, so I don't really know what I'm asking for. I'm just.
It's almost asking like, what's around? Like you go the Baltimore route. What's your players working with, and what can you make? If you want to stick with that player for the future, you have to find a coach that caters to him. That's why my big talk with Dallas, of course, is Urban Meyer. the quiet candidate I want Dallas to really go after is Dan Campbell.
But oh wow, really?
Yeah, I think that'd be an awesome hire for us.
From the Dolphins?
No, he's the assistant coach.
But you know what he used to be?
Yeah, he
took over on the Dolphins. He was Man Campbell.
Intern, yeah.
He was the tight ends coach after that guy got caught
He played
sniffing
tight
cocaine.
end. No. That was another guy. That was another guy.
No, he didn't get caught. He took over for the guy who got caught.
And Dan was a tight end for Dallas, but he's been a tight ends coach and now the assistant coach past 2 years.
Wow, I haven't heard that name in a while. Wait, for head coach?
Oh yeah, he was the assistant coach in New Orleans this year.
This is my issue with when people lump in Kellen Moore with Jason Garrett. Kellen Moore had a good season to start off with as a rookie offensive coordinator.
He did, yeah.
People are calling for his job. He started off well, and then you have to wonder if Jason Garrett tried to take over in some capacity.
Tony made comments about that during games.
That he thinks that Jason Garrett was too involved in it.
He was saying that this had a lot of remnants of Jason Garrett's offense in it.
Because I'll tell you, you know Kellen Moore. He was the Boise State quarterback, and that's the kind of guy who makes it to the league not on just like being a pure physical passer.
Yeah.
But he makes
He's an intelligent guy.
Knowing the
IQ guy.
No. I hate when people say that, but yeah. But on knowing the playbook, he's an offensive coordinator for a reason, and I just think if they moved on from him. Just because they moved on from Jason Garrett, that would be a mistake. I would like to see him get a chance.
I would like to see him stick around, but I think it almost like I said, I think the head coach, whoever gets hired, is going to have full control for the most part. I do think this is going to be a different coaching scheme than we've seen, but Dan Campbell's the quiet name I really would like to see. Just because his work with Sean Payton the past 3 years has been a big work. I am excited to see that. I think that he's a quiet candidate, just being an assistant coach and working with the tight ends coach, who tight ends have always been a good producer for New Orleans. Our biggest weakness, I think, is tight end on offense right now.
I owe an apology to Jason Witten because I called him the most expensive tight ends coach in the league when he got signed. He had a pretty decent season.
I wanted us to move Jeff Swaim so much more though, because I just thought Swaim showed great ability to be.
I'm not saying he had a Pro Bowl season. I just thought he was going to be terrible.
I just didn't want to quote unquote stunt the growth. You know what I mean? Let these young guys like Michael Gallup, let him play the whole year. When you have someone like Jeff
Gallup
Swaim,
was not losing out on anything from
no,
Jason Witten.
No, I'm talking about Jason. I'm talking about just letting the young guys grow.
Yeah, Gallup is one of the best second receivers in the league.
Letting Jeff Swaim grow, and I don't like to say, "Oh, Swaim can't block." Okay, a lot of these tight ends can't block. You either can catch or block.
And if you could do both, then you're Gronk or Kelsey or Kittle.
Yeah, exactly. Very few can do that because Andrews doesn't block that well. Hurst does though, so they have Hurst. I mean,
well, they have 4 tight ends that are pretty good, all drafted. Yeah, and it's working for them. So what the fuck?
But that's my thing. When I see it, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to really hear he can't block. If he made plays downfield, and he made athletic plays too. But yeah, that would be my quiet candidate to be talked about, but I'm hoping for Urban, of course. That's my hope.
So this is my thing, and not just because I hate him because he's an Ohio State piece of shit, but why? I mean, he picks his players pretty much in college from recruiting and everything.
Yeah.
And credit to him, the Heisman this year was between Joe Burrow, who he recruited, Chase Young, who he recruited, and Justin Fields, who he recruited. So if you go to the NFL, you're not picking every single player.
You're not, but that's why his the big stipulation they're talking about is Dwayne Rutherford. He wants you to apologize to Lamar Jackson. Oh, I got you, Carl. You just missed it all, but I'm apologizing, man.
Is he a Ravens fan, or he just won the fantasy league?
He is. Dude. He's actually a real Ravens fan too. He's a real Ravens fan.
Well, then he probably had money on them to win the Super Bowl before the season,
right?
I
definitely apologize. I mean, I'm not gonna don't sit here and tell me you thought he was being MVP this year. But at the same time, I'm apologizing.
I wonder what those odds were before the season.
Dude, honestly though, but like I said, he had an amazing year. I'll definitely apologize for that. That's one of my worst takes I've had. But he looked great. I want to see what he looks like next year. I still stand behind. I'd take Mahomes over him, but.
Well, yeah, Mahomes. I mean, people always get, like you were saying with people get excited with McVay, and then people are getting excited now about Shanahan, about the new thing, and that's another credit to Brady for being so good for so long. But people almost forget now how good Mahomes is because they're excited with Lamar Jackson.
And Mahomes
or even Russell Wilson, who I think is going to finish second in MVP voting.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson has been put, and this is nothing against him, he's been put in such a much better position than, not Mahomes, because Mahomes, they do a similar thing with him to accentuate his talents. Russell Wilson is not put in that kind of a position, which I've heard on the Ringer NFL podcast, they were talking about, should the Seahawks be better for having Russell Wilson all this time? They don't put anything around him.
At all.
The team, I mean, he had the defense But now, like, the team around him is just like remnants of that defense.
Yes, I mean they brought back Marshawn Lynch for God's sake. Like,
well, okay, I like Marshawn Lynch, but
I do too. But I'm also like,
it's hard for
realistic.
It's hard for me to be on both sides of this because I love Marshawn Lynch, but I wouldn't consider that putting Russell Wilson in the best.
No, man, you're like, I didn't like that. It's like we might as well sign Des Bryant while you're at it.
Hey, I mean, you never know. The Patriots need a receiver, I heard. So.
They have enough guys that can't run routes and drop balls.
Why did the Patriots, speaking of that and going off on a random tangent, why did they not try to trade for A.J. Green? Did they just not give enough up, or the Bengals are really not going to get rid of him?
I just feel like the Bengals probably didn't want to get rid of him.
I guess the Patriots, wherever he goes, he's going to have to be paid because his new contract and everything like that. And I think he's almost 30, right?
He is, but I think he's going to he's going to just have his workouts in the offseason. Teams are going to see him. They're going to know who he is and how he is, you know. What was the one thing I want to bring up? Oh, when we were talking about quarterbacks that were having a weird year, Kirk Cousins had a great year. Even though his last game with Green Bay didn't help him out with that, Kirk Cousins had a great year. And, you know, this is another quarterback that we're consistently killing, but he's not the main issue.
We owe him an apology.
Who?
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, you do.
You owe it to him?
Yeah, he does. Stretch does, not me.
Apologize.
I'm a Kirk guy. Hold on, I've been a Kirk guy.
Are we sure? I'm not apologizing. Are we sure he's good? Because every time I do this and I'm like, oh, he's good. No.
He's going to lose in the playoffs, so it's going to like kill us right there. But for the year he had, I mean, this year was good. People want to kill this guy. Last year was good. He was with Terrell Pryor. His best receiver in Washington was Terrell Pryor. Like, and he was still playing well.
Hey, not rest in peace, but he did get stabbed.
Oh God, man.
He did. So
a tattoo needle?
No, you didn't hear it. I see you're trying to help me out there. Yeah.
Come on, man. I was jumping on your help there. Yeah, I bashed Ohio State one time. He's against it. Like,
I was like, whoa, too soon. I'm like, wait, that didn't really happen. So, for some reason, it won't scroll over, but I have right here October 9th, Lamar Jackson was 40-1.
40-1. God bless, man.
October 16th, he was 50-1.
Yeah, come on now. Vegas has you 51. There's a reason why a lot of people weren't putting that vote
I'm trying to see the preseason odds, because if it was 40-1 then, it had to be more before that.
Probably like 100. I have no problem with that. I have a problem with, I do have a problem with Dak's new contract coming up. Tag him. Trade him.
What's with you and Dak, though? I mean, he's a top 10 quarterback.
Dude.
We've already established that it's the coach's fault.
Bro, here's what I want to tell you about Dak.
Here's what I'll tell you.
He doesn't have the factor, too. I mean, when you watch Tony go 8-8 with the teams he had, and then you watch Dak go 8-8 with this team, you're like, come on.
So is it the coach's fault or is it the quarterback's fault?
I'm not a Dak guy. I've never been a Dak guy. I thought we should have fired Garrett 2 years ago, so that way we could have proved it wasn't Dak. Because you don't fire, it's really rare to get rid of coach, coordinator, and quarterback all in the same year. It typically goes coordinator, coach, and then quarterback. You know, so if we got rid of them 2 years ago, we could have seen the next 2 years with Dak, and when you just watch Dak
Lamar
play,
Jackson preseason was 100-1 for MVP.
See, there we go, spot on. That was, like I said, I'm not. My apology can sit, but there's a lot more important people apologizing before me right now.
I was more just curious about
I'm looking at him on this one.
Yeah.
Cliff Foley needs to apologize to him ASAP.
Oh, dude.
Well, he could have won MVP as a receiver. To be fair, I mean.
Okay. If Michael Thomason won MVP as a receiver.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. None of us are on the same page right now.
I see that now. I see that now.
Tattoo needles and MVPs. Everybody calm down. Michael Thomas should have got more buzz for MVP. I think, it's never going to happen. They just need to make two different awards.
Offensive Player of the Year is MVP for anyone not a quarterback, I feel like.
To put it in context for this site, Lamar Jackson opened at 100-1. Derek Carr opened at 100-1.
Jesus.
So.
Derek Carr, man.
Yeah.
That's an ugly one.
Alvin Kamara opened at 80-1. Saquon opened at 80-1, but that's just because running back's never going to win it.
I don't know, man. Like I said, if I was to go back to my tangent, it's just the same thing. It's like big games where we need big throws, we need big moments. They're just not there. And it just says a lot. Like I said, now's the time to if there's a time to move it, it's now. You don't want too many years of exposure to prove that something's average. You kind of just realize where you're at with it. And my talk to Stretch is if you put him on other teams, how many other teams is he taking to the playoffs? Because look at the roster we just had.
I think he would have won more games with the Bills than Josh Allen won with the Bills.
I think Allen would have won more with Dallas.
Dak is a better passer than Josh Allen.
I get that, but the fact is, like, Allen is also making plays.
But Dak can run, but if he doesn't need to run.
He's also not. I mean, Dak isn't that fast. Like, Dak is. I mean, I'm just saying, like, guys. Okay, so we're gonna put up Allen. You can put Allen in, but let's look at other quarterbacks. Like, I
think he wins more games with Tennessee.
How? With Tennessee?
Because he
Tennessee won 9.
He's better than Ryan Tannehill. You're not saying that Tannehill is better than Dak, are you?
I mean, I'm just saying with analytics, it's shown that Tannehill's playing just fine. I thought Tannehill could have won 10 games.
Also,
Tannehill could win the division with.
If he would have played the whole, well, also look at this. If Tannehill would have played the whole season, how many games did Mariota fuck up for them? 4?
Yeah, I mean,
they're like 1 and 3.
Yeah, there's one game where he played like 2 passes. Like
it's the Tannissance.
That was one that I thought. Oh man. I don't know when I guessed Tannehill would start, but I thought Tannehill would start earlier than what people project him would too, because I just thought he was.
I think we both projected.
Yeah,
we both. That's what.
Both kind of early.
It's one of those things where we all, everybody before the season was like, Tannehill might start, and then it wound up like everybody was right.
Yeah, it was like
and then somehow the coaches who are there every day. I'll tell you one thing. Marcus Mariota must be a fucking hell of a practice player, because they were seeing something that we were not seeing. Because everybody thought that Tannehill was better than him.
Well, when you really look at the number 1 pick, they didn't miss out too much. Because both are in situations with their contracts that nobody knows what they're actually going to do. You know what I mean?
Jameis is like the second most exciting player to watch, or maybe he's top 5 for sure.
If you took his pick 6s and add them to his touchdowns, you'd have like 40-something touchdowns, dude.
Yeah.
Like, he really would. Like, I mean, he ended the season.
We could do an entire podcast on Jameis stats. There's some, and it's so fitting that his season ended. And Bruce Arians is like, he's old, he's out in the cold, he doesn't want to play the game anymore, it's in overtime. He says, what can end the game the fastest? Oh, here, let me throw a 5-yard out route with Jameis. Oh, pick 6, here we go, we're going home.
Story every time.
It's like, if he didn't learn.
He said, if I didn't have all these turnovers, I'd be balling. Like,
if he didn't have all those turnovers, he'd be fucking Aaron Rodgers.
Dude, if I was 6'3", I'd be more attractive. What are you talking about? Yeah, why not? Yeah. I appreciate you, my friend.
Yeah, so getting into NFC North, I picked Green Bay, you picked Minnesota.
Oh, God damn it.
Listening back to what we said, it was basically the only reason you picked Minnesota, and we both said they're a more complete team. The only thing why I picked Green Bay, and it came out to be true, is I said if it comes down to Minnesota and Green Bay, I'll take Aaron Rodgers, and that's what wound up happening.
I was happy Minnesota. For some reason, I thought I picked Chicago. I know I was high on Chicago, but I was kind of happy to hear it wasn't Chicago.
Minnesota was the more complete team, and it wound up just Aaron Rodgers in one game playing really well.
How many games is Thielen going to have where he has like no catches, only 1 catch? I mean, this Thielen thing's really weird.
I don't know. We have to cape up for him, though. I mean,
I know, dude, but it's like kind of maybe not draft another one of us because of that. Like, I'm kind of annoyed with it.
I don't know. He brought us to the promised land, and now he's taking us back to where we were.
McCaffrey is taking us to the promised land. No, McCaffrey's a transcendent one. I'm the McCaffrey guy there. I like that one.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly,
1,000 season 2. I know.
This looks bad for both of us.
God, what do we do on this one?
For the AFC North, I predicted the Browns to win the division.
Yep.
And you picked
Steelers.
the Steelers. Is not looking bad for you because Roethlisberger got hurt, but none of us.
No, definitely not.
None of us saw it. Like we say it a million times. This is the Apologize to Lamar Jackson podcast. Nobody saw it coming. Mm-hmm. And if you said you saw it coming, then congratulations on picking the Ravens before the season to win the Super Bowl. Congratulations on your 100-1 bet on MVP.
Yeah. No, and the thing too is when you talk about like that Ravens team, they did win it the year before, and this is where I'm going to kind of like, I don't mean to push us too far into it, but this is why I'm kind of against Harbaugh winning Coach of the Year. I'm more on McDermott winning Coach of the Year, because winning 10 in Buffalo, especially when they haven't won that in a long time. I mean, they won 9 over last year, Baltimore. They made the playoffs. They won the division. Yeah, they got the first seed, but I just think the Buffalo step up was so much better.
What about Flores for Coach of the Year? It was supposed to be the worst team of all time, and he wins 5 games.
I always thought, and that's the thing. I hated the way people killed what they were doing. You kill what they're doing because you don't know what they're doing because you're not a GM. The problem is with this generation of sports, there's such a in the moment thing, and not what are we going to look like in 3 years versus like what are we going to look like in 3 games? Like, did you really lose anything in Tunzel? No.
If you look at it, I mean, can we already put the Dolphins as a sleeper next year? I mean, and you know what I found myself when I was watching the Patriots game and like most of the season?
They'll still be young, I think.
Well, most of the I was just kind of kidding, but most of the season with Ryan Fitzpatrick, Why can't he be that good again next season? I mean, maybe
I
not
apologize to Mike Tomlin. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to he always says this.
to apologize to Tomlin.
Because we thought, everyone yeah, I thought he was going to be out of a job, but they won more, but he didn't get Coach of the Year. You got to make playoffs for that, man.
Yeah, if they would have finished a little bit stronger, I think he would have been up for
Yeah, you make the
consideration.
playoffs.
Stronger.
They went 8-8. They're the Dallas Cowboys.
They went 8-8.
But you can't compare them to Dallas.
I'm just saying, they went 8-8. They went 8-8. I don't want to hear it.
They had like a third string quarterback for a lot of games. I just think that's not the way the award works.
No, it's
The award works for it to go to Kyle Shanahan or like a team who was projected here and finished here.
and that's
Not for a team that was projected here and finished like here. 'cause
Shanahan's
their
in that
quarterback
talk
got
for
hurt.
sure because you look at what Shanahan did. I mean, it's unbelievable. Shanahan should be in that talk. But I think McDermott and Shanahan are the two ones. You know,
Bill Polian's getting close to Scott Brooks territory. Yeah, but Scott Brooks still has a goddamn coaching job. How?
Yeah, but it's Washington. Who's all really fighting for that job? Who's his assistant?
I think people just forget.
Yeah, I think what assistant in Washington's like, I want this job.
Like what
I don't
head
know.
coach is more irrelevant? Like the Hawks? Does anyone know who the Hawks head coach is?
No, man. I was really hoping they play a little bit
Anybody
better.
know who the Hawks head coach is? Nobody knows.
I was really hoping they played better. I like that young team. I like
Larry
the
Brown?
Hawks
I don't know,
group.
throwing it out there.
I like Trey Young. I thought the Cam Reddish ad was perfect because he's not going to do too much, but he's going to do enough just to be a role player as an everyday starter on the team. I was hoping more for them this year.
Seahawks, Eagles. The Eagles are one of the worst teams to make it to the playoffs in a while, and that's just the fault of the division.
If the
and
Seahawks
some of
don't
the
win this
other
game, I'm going to be actually angry.
The spread's only Seahawks -2.
God bless. All right, Seahawks, let's go. Pulling for them.
Seahawks -2 on the road. I mean, what would be the reason for that?
I'm picking the Saints, though, against the Vikings.
I like the Vikings with the points. It's
would do-
Saints at home, but the Vikings are getting 8.
I hope it's like another Diggs ending, and it'd just be hysterical to say.
The reason that you would take that you would lay the 8 points there is you think maybe they're putting on for the entire city and they're gonna not let up if it's a blowout.
I think it's almost like the Saints have this kind of like what Clemson has right now, this anger, we are really good, and I'm tired of being overlooked. I don't want to push too far to that's why I like Clemson over LSU. It's because it's this attitude.
You want them to win, or you think they will?
I like them more. Oklahoma is nowhere near. Oklahoma was the 4th best team, but the difference between the 4th best and the 3rd best was so much different with Ohio State and Oklahoma.
I don't know, man.
The top 3, there were only 3 good teams in college this year.
I think there were 5 or 6.
Woo!
I mean, Alabama would have put up a better fight than Oklahoma did.
Yeah, but Alabama got shown every time Alabama played
Utah
a
would have put up a better fight than.
Okay, relax. Utah played nobody all year and still struggled.
Who's Clemson played all year?
Clemson has still won 27 straight games.
Against who, though?
I don't care against who.
Virginia?
This
Miami?
isn't UCF winning 25
Pittsburgh?
straight games. Okay, this is Clemson.
It's close.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Clemson has arguably the best quarterback prospect we've seen since Watson, and that came from Clemson.
I don't know. Joe Burrow is going to be the #1 pick now.
Oh yeah, because he had a great year out of 1 year. But like I said, he's going to go to Cincinnati. Enjoy it.
So that's so.
Just because you're the 1 pick doesn't mean the best quarterback.
Trevor Lawrence had 1 good year too.
He's having a second good year.
This year's been okay. It hasn't
Because his
been-
first year was so amazing. His second year is still really good.
He didn't even get into Heisman consideration.
I don't care if you're not in the high. His second year was still really good.
I'm not saying that it wasn't really good. I'm just saying
But we're acting like Lawrence just fell off. This is what's gonna
if Tua doesn't get hurt, then it would have been Oklahoma not in there. And Clemson, to me, hasn't played anybody all season.
I mean, Alabama, everyone they played, that was ranked, they lost. Utah, when they played ranked teams, they lost. Oklahoma, they were
So if
whatever.
Clemson played some of those teams, they would have lost too.
But Baylor couldn't beat Oklahoma. It's the conference, it's the division. I mean, you can't help it. I'm just saying, Oklahoma couldn't beat Baylor couldn't beat Oklahoma. There's only 3 good teams. It was LSU, Clemson, Ohio State. If you want to say 2, but Clemson was still up there.
I love Clemson for beating Ohio State. Don't get me wrong.
What they did to Virginia was disgusting in their bowl.
But Virginia
ACC bowl.
just lost to Florida, and I know the bowl games don't count as much because you can't tell who's trying, who's playing, who's not. But if you look at the schedule, you have Citadel. That's a rough one.
Mm-hmm.
You have Georgia Tech, Syracuse.
Yeah, but they had one close game this year.
North Carolina, Louisville, Wofford.
They had one.
Even you laughed at Wofford.
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone plays teams. I mean, come on. Wofford, it's like Alabama playing those teams. Alabama plays 2 of those a year.
Wake Forest.
Citadel.
Yeah. Like, they're playing a military college, for God's sake.
I'm just saying.
Those kids are going to war. They're going to military service after.
I'm not saying
draft.
Clemson doesn't deserve to be in the game. I'm just saying that I think they're going to lose because I've seen LSU play against much better teams. Like, Oklahoma's better than anybody besides Ohio State. Oklahoma's way better than anybody that Clemson has played this year.
What my
Florida
argument's
State,
gonna
Charlotte, Texas A&M.
I'm using the same argument I used for when I was talking to you about the Ohio State Clemson game. Though I want Ohio State to win them, like, Ohio State never saw a quarterback like this. All year long, there was no quarterback in the Big. There's never been a Big Ten
Shea
quarterback.
Patterson.
Okay, well, saw him on a rough day, I guess. It was an off game for him that day. So
Trust me, they're all rough days.
Can't count that one. But with, like, Ohio State never saw it. And, like, when you look at, yeah, we can say Tua. Tua was beat up that game, though. Tua was coming off an injury quickly. He was trying to get back into that game. I think this is the best quarterback they've seen. I think this is the best defense they've seen, too, coming up.
You could say that for both teams, though.
Oh, that's what makes this game so, like, I think this is going to be one of the best national championships we've had in a couple of years. I mean,
Better than the Alabama comeback against, who was it that Tua?
Georgia? That was a good one. I didn't like that
That
one.
was like 2 years ago.
I said a couple of years. No, that was like 3. Because Watson was in it for a bit, but I will say, I mean, like I said, that's a really good one. But, like, last year was a blowout.
I think it's going to be a blowout.
The year before was really good with the last second comeback. And there's there's been last second comebacks coming through, but I'm like, I like the matchup here.
Ohio State's not in it. I'm happy about that. But
I know you are.
That was me. I think it's going to be a blowout. I think the spread it opened at like 4.5.
Okay. I like Clemson, man. I really do.
On the money line or the 4.5?
I just like them in general. We'll go by just straight up.
All right.
I'm not even going to involve the spread on this one. I'm going to go.
Okay.
I'm going to go a straight up one. I think it's going to be a close game, that's why. 4.5 just seems like that's a little, like, I feel like it can be a 3-point game. Like, it can be a 2-point game on this one. Like, these are two very talented groups.
This is one thing I'll say. You can, and you can talk all this shit about Clemson's schedule, but they've won big games, and they have most of those guys. They have like 3 first-round picks at receiver.
Yeah.
Ohio State was the best.
Higgins is beautiful.
Ohio State is the best team they played all year, and they still won. And they had to come back and win, but that says something when you can actually not play a close game all season, and then you're in one, and you come back and win. I'll give them credit for that. I just think, and it's the easiest take ever, that after what LSU did against what Clemson did, everyone's going to be picking LSU, and that's all the more reason to think Clemson's going to win.
It's just, I think that, when the Oklahoma game, it's just Oklahoma gave up 40 points to Baylor and 40 points to everybody. You know what I mean?
That was
their defense.
It's
been their defense.
I'd have to look it up, but LSU in that playoff in the Oklahoma game was favored by 13. That's got to be like one of the highest that a playoff game's ever been.
They came in there, and it's like the first half throwing 7 touchdowns is disgusting. But
I think people thought that it would be a high-scoring game, but I don't think people thought that Oklahoma would just not be able to do anything.
This is one stat that is very big. With there have been more first-round picks by LSU than Alabama. The thing is, LSU has draft picks every year. They just were missing the quarterback and the coaching. I think Coach O is obviously better than Miles, but I think the quarterback's definitely the big change. I mean, they have athletes all over that LSU team as well. Like, that defense is one of the best. It's one of the fastest.
You think Orgeron is better than
Les Miles?
No, not Les Miles. I'm talking about than Dabo.
No, God, no.
Oh,
I don't think he's better.
I thought that's what you were saying.
Oh, no. No, I mean, I think Coach O is doing a really good job this year, but as I don't look at, best coaches. I still consider Jimbo better than Coach O. Coach O's now in it. I
don't know about that, man.
Jimbo's won more than him. He's got a resume. He's got a resume. Name me Coach O's resume.
What did you have about that Jimbo? This is Jimbo's pick on there.
Yeah,
I said in 2 years they can be in the SEC. They can represent the SEC West.
You picked them this year, but
as a surprise pick, yeah. But
it says sleeper, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you said Georgia, Texas A&M, but then you really said Bama, Georgia.
And I was off on both. That's a guy that's a team that's never actually battling this Georgia. They go in these games, get their shit kicked in.
I will say both of us picked Clemson and Miami for the ACC.
Yeah, dude, Miami, wow.
And this looked worse.
How do you go scoreless in a walk-on?
The only bowl game this year, the only team that has not scored any points is Miami.
On the walk-on bowl.
And they fired their offensive coordinator, but it's the same thing as the Lions firing 6 coordinators and not firing their head coach. I don't know, man. If you're Miami, you got to do better. What the fuck? Not even close to being back. from where they were, this is like
on week 1 they were back.
they were close. They're always almost back. This is back, and now they're like way back here.
No, they're back.
Now they're
in the
back. Now,
They're in the back.
Now they're
not back.
Now
They're just that back.
Now they're Boomer doing the home run derby. Back.
God.
Like, what would they have to do?
Home run derby. I love the reference.
What would they have to do for people to even say they're even close to back again? Like, there's no way they even start the season right next
No, because
year.
even when they went to the ACC championship, they went scoreless in that one against Clemson.
I will say, I don't want to get too hyped, but Michigan had a pretty good signing day this year. I'm not going to get too hyped up for next year. Pretty good signing day.
Okay, I want some Michigan quotes right now. I want some week 1 Michigan quotes. That's what I want right here.
I don't have those quotes quite written down. I will say you picked Ohio State, I picked Michigan. This looked a lot worse for both of us last week. We skipped doing the Big 12 when we were doing like our shows preseason.
But we did mention Oklahoma should run with it though.
We skipped it and said that we skipped the Pac-12 and the Big 12 and said neither one of these can produce a champion.
Yeah.
So actually, last year it would look bad because they were in the playoff, but this week looks better.
Yeah, I mean,
because they got their shit pushed in.
I'm okay with them making the playoffs, but I'm still with the we're still on the same comment. They can't produce champion. They scored 14 points, or 21, whatever
just
it was.
because I'm an honest guy,
14 honest
we
points.
did bet $50 on the Big Ten championship, so I owe you $50. I have some CPK gift cards coming your way.
Oh hell yeah, dude! Actually, that works perfectly.
I don't really. I will pay you eventually, though.
Don't worry, my man. Don't worry.
But yeah. Oh wait. So let's just finish off. So I had. What the hell? I got a fucking spider web going on here. So you picked New Orleans and Baltimore for the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, I mean, for the Super Bowl game, I really want to hear Kansas City. I think Spagnuolo can get that defense can continue going the right direction. I'm going to go Baltimore because I just trust the defense more.
I have to just double check the seating here to make sure mine's even possible. I
don't know if it's possible, but it's tough.
I picked New Orleans and Green Bay. New Orleans is the number 1 seed, or Green Bay is the number 1 seed? I guess anything is possible.
I think San
right?
Fran's
Anything is
1,
possible.
San Fran's 1, Green Bay's 2, and New Orleans is 3, I believe.
I have it pulled up right here. Oh, they still have the in the hunt thing going on.
4 is Philly, my God.
Yeah, how the fuck? They're gonna beat Seattle somehow, and they're gonna get into the next round.
I know, and I'm gonna hear
somehow
Eagle
the
fans.
Patriots are gonna place the Eagles in the second round in advance.
If they play in the Super Bowl, I'm gonna be so angry.
Patriots Eagles.
If the Eagles won the Super Bowl this year, I'd actually stop watching football, and you can record me saying this.
You won't watch the Super Bowl?
No, I won't watch
If it's
football.
Patriots Eagles?
No, if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, I'm done with football. Like, that's not a sport to me. I'm gonna be as European as possible on this. I'm Bundesliga.
I guess. Oh, hey, there we go. So I guess the Saints are the 3 seed. Mm-hmm. So they could still wind up playing the Packers in the 2 seed, right?
Yeah, because it would go highest seed would face.
Whatever. I'm
yeah.
sticking with it. I just
No. They would play if they win. They're playing because the lowest seed plays 1, and if you're 3, 2 is So they're playing Green Bay next week. The week after.
If they both win, it would be New Orleans and Green Bay.
Yeah. Which I think that'd be one of the best playoff games next to if.
Oh yeah, because then it would be if the Eagles won.
Lowest seed.
If the Eagles win, it would be Niners Eagles.
Oh, dude.
So I guess I'll have to pick. All right, then fine. I'll do Seahawks and shit. I'm gonna do Packers Seahawks.
I like Niners Saints.
I don't know. Well, they said. Oh, you said this is for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
New Orleans and Baltimore. And I'll do for the AFC. What's the AFC Championship?
Baltimore,
gonna be?
Kansas City.
Yeah, I'll have to go with that too.
I think that's the one right there. I mean, I know people are like, I don't see New England going on the road to both Kansas City and Baltimore.
I'll do Green Bay and Seattle just off of the respect for Russell Wilson.
Okay. I love me some Russell Wilson.
Shit, I guess I'm gonna have to pick Green Bay and Baltimore then. And who do you have? Do you still have Dallas somehow in the Super Bowl?
So if we were signed Urban Meyer, that's a Super Bowl with me. But if I was to pick, God bless.
Nobody's gonna pick the Patriots and then they're gonna make the Super Bowl.
I'm going Saints, man. I'm going Saints. Feel like I'm gonna regret it, but I like that Saints defense a lot. I think the Saints defense is gonna come together.
You're
I like.
Go Baltimore.
You're gonna go Baltimore.
I went Green Bay and Baltimore.
I'm gonna go New Orleans in the Super Bowl to win it.
And who are they playing?
Baltimore.
All right. You know, as much as I hate the Patriots,
I like that one.
I would.
A little different, a little Cajun-y, a little stabby.
Yeah, I guess
more.
if it's Green Bay and Baltimore, I'm gonna pick
dangerous.
I'm gonna pick Baltimore. None of us are picking the Patriots, so that means they're gonna win the Super Bowl.
Dude, imagine.
I don't have to imagine. I see it like every other fucking year. You know, if they all right, so I'll say this: if the Patriots do make it, I want to see it against Drew Brees. I want to see Brady and Brees one time in the Super Bowl, and then I want to see Brees win.
Yeah.
But I would like to see them play each other in the Super Bowl one time.
I do think that'd be a great one. I do think my hot take for the next year is where's Tom Brady going? Circle Cleveland. Circle it.
Tom Brady to Cleveland?
I think that's the hot
He's
take.
going to be a backup behind Baker? Or?
Okay, wow.
Lamar Jackson's going to back up Jameis Winston? That's what you said in Baltimore.
I'll stick to it.
He's still sticking to it.
I'm joking. I can't stick to that. I'd be a crazy man.
Oh, man. The only other place you can get takes like that is in the Bundesliga. Thank you guys so much
And
for
Max
watching.
Kellerman.
Nice Kellerman. And Jason Whitlock tells the Penn State players to cut their dreads.
Oh, my God, right?